Hello, hello everyone. Happy Friday. It is Friday. You made it. You made it to the end of your work week. If you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, you're probably not done with your work week, but that's okay. It's Friday. You're taking a break. You're here right now. So we're good. We're good. If this is your first time joining, welcome. My name is Ed. I am your business development and tech expert, and this is our show. This is Ed Talk TV, conversations worth having. We talk about business, tech, and the user experience. You will also know that the comments is where the magic happens. That's just the thing. Magic happens in the comments. And I encourage you to comment, not just for my benefit so that I can check in with you guys later, but for your benefit. This is a place where you're going to show up, deliver, and engage. That's what I'm here to teach you, and that's what you're going to do here in the comments. So even if you're watching the replay viewers, it's even more important for you because you're not here during the live broadcast, which is okay. But you still have to show up and deliver in the comments. You have to engage with each other. So I'm going to ask you guys to share this out to your audience, and then we're going to talk about some random news before we bring in a special guest today. Yeah, we bring guests on this show. So real quick, if you're new around here or you just need a refresher, I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the comments for you. The comments is where you'll always want to check. I just popped in there a link, which is like a magical link, okay? It's like magic. It's one link that when you click on it, it opens up everything for you. It's like Ed's World for you. You get my social channels, you get my email list if you want to be on there. You can get, yes, Mickey, random news is coming up. You can get the Hey Ed membership. You can, all these things like learn from me for free, work with me, all that stuff. It's all in that one link. So don't go there now. Just make a mental note for later, and you can check it out. Hey, Paula, TGIF, it's Friday night. Boom, and we're here to party. So before we get into random, well, I guess it's part of random news. I'm just checking to make sure on here. Let's talk real quick about, we'll just jump into random news. This is like a bonus to random news. So Facebook, I think we all can agree that this week has been tough for Facebook all across the board, which has been tough on all of us. Can you agree? Raise your hand if you've been affected by the stumbling drunk Facebook algorithm and just the whole system. I feel like they've just been like drinking out of the bottle all day long, and today might be the first day of sobriety because literally I'm just now starting to see notifications come back in order somewhat. I actually still haven't seen notifications for my group yet, so I have to manually go in and check things. But here's the thing that's been going on, and some of you might have noticed this, some of you might not have. It's kind of a hit or miss with people that I've been researching. But when it comes to the craziness in Facebook world, some of us, myself included, are experiencing not getting notifications, especially for groups. That's a big one. I was on a post earlier, and a lot of people were not getting notifications for their own groups. So keep in mind, if you're experiencing any of this stuff, you're not alone. So notifications are either not showing up, or if they do show up, they're not in order. Your organic reach is probably low. I will tell you, I don't have any paid ads. I haven't done paid ads yet. And I've noticed that my organic reach has been pretty hard this week in terms of getting out there, which is why when you guys show up, not only to my broadcast, but to other people's broadcasts, you want to make sure that you not only watch it, but engage and share it out to other people. Because we found out yesterday, for some of you guys who were on my personal live last night, we found out that we have some of our friends that are here on the page. They like, they follow, and they have notifications turned on, but they're still not seeing the post show up. And we go live 5 days a week for an hour. So there's some stuff going on with Facebook. I'm hoping that they'll figure it out. They'll clean it up, which is why you guys have to remember not to put all your eggs in one basket. It's also why it's important for you to engage in the comments and make sure you share out work that you like. It doesn't even have to be a live broadcast. It's just whatever. But know that and understand that you're not alone. If you're like, man, I'm trying everything and I just can't get people to show up, it's okay. We're all in the same boat for the most part. And it's not necessarily just your content. It's all of ours. I'm just making sure that we're still good on that. Making sure that we're still live. Perfect. Yes. Okay, cool. So that's the thing that we have to remember. And then hopefully after this trial stuff is over, hopefully we'll just see everything go straight up. But we'll see. So for random news, have you guys ever had one of those days where you just show up to work and you're like, you know what? I just can't make you happy. I just can't make anybody happy today. Well, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I get the right screen here, because right before going live, all my stuff like switched over. So for those who are new, I use I use my desktop computer, and I use a program called Ecamm Live. You can find the link in the comments. That one link will take you there. It's called EdTalk TV. But I use a link to share like what I'm doing, or the screen to share what I'm doing. So let's see if this works. Let's see. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm going to play this quick little YouTube clip before we switch over and get our guest on here. But, this weather guy, he just wasn't feeling it today. And it happened the other day, but you know what I mean.
Time. Doesn't matter what time I come on. 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and then you expect me to be chipper for 5 straight hours. It's miserable. I want you guys to say, wow, that's great news. It's going to be 60 on Friday. Well, I mean, what do you want me to do? Lie to you? I'll put 70 every day next time. God.
Thank you for your commitment.
Man, thank you. Mr. Davis appreciates it. He knows when to bundle up.
Yep.
Here's some wind. Here's some temperature, 20s. Feels like 19 or feels like 70. I don't know. 47, partly cloudy. Southwest breeze 10 to 15. Here's a 60. I don't know if that's good enough for you guys. Get excited. Maybe I'll disappoint you with the 7-day here in a few minutes.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but, it's just one of those things like, hey, sometimes that's just how it goes. Now, I don't know. It didn't say in that article if that was kind of, a prank or not. I mean, I kind of feel like it was just to get the ratings. But who knows? Who knows? How many of you have seen, those bloopers from the newsreels? I mean, those are like the funniest thing ever. And most of them are real moments, right? So think about that when you're thinking about going live and why it's important for you to go live. Another quick thing about going live, we talked about it yesterday, so if you missed yesterday's episode, use the main link that I just posted in the comments, and you can go to EdTalk TV to catch up on previous episodes. But in that episode from yesterday, we talked about live streaming and the different options that are available. And, last night I had a one-on-one personal one with you guys over on my personal profile, and we talked about how you really just need to just do it. You can't script everything, you can't plan everything, and you'll find that the best ones are the ones that you just show up and deliver. That's really what it is. And it's been awesome to see the response in terms of people commenting last night, both live and in the replay. And then it's been awesome to see, when you share out your journey, you just don't know how many people are watching. And I've gotten comments, and I've shared this before on the show, but there's been comments coming in and messages, hey, I'm wondering if you can do XYZ. I saw your show, or I saw you on a Facebook Live, or, you post really great stuff. I follow you on Instagram. I follow you here. There's just so many people that are watching you right now. I know it sounds creepy, but it's a good way. There's so many people watching you right now, and that are watching your greatness and watching you just do you, and they're like, wow. But they're probably not going to tell you anything. And if they do, it's not going to be for a while, and that's okay. That's what we call our secret followers. So just keep that in mind, that when you debate whether or not you should show up and post something, obviously think about the content and whether it's appropriate or not, but you know what I'm saying? Don't think too hard about it. Just go for it. Obviously, make sure it's appropriate for your business and stuff like that, but you really want to go through and think about that. Paula says, some days it is like that. I know. Some days like that weatherman, you just show up and you're like, I can't make anybody happy, whatever. I'm just going to do my job. He's still, okay, see, this is how my brain works. He still showed up and delivered. That was his job. He showed up and delivered, right? And then, of course, he engaged because everyone else was talking to him and he was replying to them. See? See, I can make this work for everything. I'm telling you, that is what we're all about. So anyway, just think about that and really start fine tuning things and really just start, same with your website. I know some of you probably have a website started, but you haven't launched it yet. And that launch date's probably not going to happen for another 6 months to a year. Why? Because you don't think it's ready. Listen, you just got to do it. You just got to put it out there. Don't worry about being judged. Worry about having a presence and documenting that journey. Let's see what Mickey says. And he engaged with his humor. Exactly, Mickey, right? So he made it work. That's how you guys would do it too on live broadcasting. And I didn't even plan all that stuff. Welcome, Vicky. Evening. So it's one of those things like, you just go with it. That's your job. Just show up and deliver and engage. That's it. So today we are going to have a special guest. I'm really excited. This is actually going to be really cool because this is the first time we're actually going to meet in person / video. And so we are going to have our guest come on here shortly. If you guys want to become a guest, you can. Don't do it now, but later. That link that I provided in the comments, when you click on Ed Talk TV, it will show you a guest request form. So you can always do that as well. So now comes the fun part. We're going to go ahead and call our guest. I put in my little speaker headset here, and I'm going to flip over my screens here so that we can get that going. And fingers crossed, everything will work for us. There we go. Hello. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. So welcome to the show. Let everyone know who you are.
My name is Rob Lowe, and I'm freaking happy to be here, Ed.
I love it. I'm so excited. So how did we meet, Rob? How did we meet?
It's funny. We met through a mutual friend who is just such a light. Midori is just, there's just something about her. She's like a perky little teenage cheerleader, and she's got, kids who are older than mine. So she has this effervescence and this ease about her and this encouragement. And so she said, get together. And we did. And I think I don't know where you were, but I was in like a parking lot because that's when we had the phone call.
Oh, yeah.
And just had this like crazy freaking vortex vibe, cool energy going and talking about a lot of the same things in different words and a lot of the same things using the same words. And it was super cool.
Yeah, it was. And I was actually right here in the same space. My creative space. And you guys, so that's the important thing too that I want you to know is that this is the first time we're actually meeting face to face. But we had a phone call, but before the phone call, it was actually a mutual friend that introduced us via an email, like just connecting us, like, hey, you two are awesome. Like, I think you guys need to hang out. And so that's how it works. And that's why I tell you guys all the time, the magic happens in the comments in terms of being here on Facebook, but carry that over to your other areas, text, email, Skype, whatever. Like, that's where the magic is happening. So you really need to pay attention to that.
Definitely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. 97% of referrals come via face-to-face.
Yes.
Offline is so important. I mean, you can establish this, and then we can use technology to bring us face-to-face.
Yep.
And I have to tell you, I am super excited to meet you face-to-face in person later this month. I mean, that's going to be, it's going to be great. There's a whole another level when you can do that as well.
Oh, definitely. That's the thing that I think a lot of us have to remember is that we get so caught up in the online world because it's easy to do and that's our daily thing. But we have to remind ourselves, like, we still have to do the in-person thing, and we have to remember that I think a lot of people, especially with Facebook, tend to just throw money towards Facebook ads versus remembering that the word of mouth is more important and it's cheaper.
Right. It's cheaper. I mean, even if you were to think about it, like taking a trip, like I went down to San Diego and I met 31 people, right? 31 people. Yep. And it was a day trip and it cost me whatever it cost, for the plane ride. And it was like maybe $150 or something like that. So I met face to face with 20 people, with 30 people. It cost me whatever that is, $20 each or whatever. And out of those, I stay connected with a bunch of them. I'll just say a bunch of them, and then have developed a deeper relationship with a number of them, which, frankly, it could have happened, but not at this speed. And we're really we're working together, and they're absolutely fabulous people, and the level of trust that we have and the level of fun we have because we know each other's personality from meeting in person is just phenomenal. So, yeah, face-to-face if you can is great. But that's another layer. But we can do it, stay engaged. Is that what we're talking about today, Ed? Is that what you were talking about before?
Yeah. So, exactly. It's the same thing. It all ties in and really, let people know what you do too, because that's all about what we're talking here. Like what do you do for your kind of work?
Right. Okay. So first of all, I'm first and foremost, I am the host. I'm the host of the Giving Back podcast, which shines the spotlight on people doing really amazing things for other people in need. And that started, I started getting on 2 years ago, but really in pre-production over 2 years ago. And it was really a series of getting to meet people who are hometown heroes, community grinders, doing amazing stuff that you just don't hear about. And in the course of that, I changed a lot. So both personally and professionally, I changed a lot. And now, on a deeper level, on a deeper tombstone level, you could say that I make it easy for people to do good. And in a practical level, really what I do is I connect nonprofits to their next generation of donors, and I also work with business owners to transform their business into a force for good.
Oh,
so,
yes,
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool work. I'm really, really blessed, and I work with really awesome people who frankly, is this a PG rated show?
For the most part, but it goes. I mean, anything.
Well, okay, then I'll just say that they really, really give a snot.
Yeah,
they really care deeply. They really give a snot, and they want to make a difference with everything they have at their disposal. Yeah. And man, they are rocking it out. It's very cool.
And that's why you guys, I had Rob come on the show, and why Midori, who's now here, she says hello. That's why we got together and wanted to come on the show, because you guys watching this, even replay viewers, that this is what it's all about. It's about being able to serve, being able to give back, and have fun while doing all of the things. And so that's the real big thing. Midori's like, quote, "Is this a PG rated show?" Hot. It's always good to ask. You always got to ask and listen.
You know what? I want to make sure that I'm appropriate to your audience, as well as mine. But it's been really fortunate. And Ed, you and I are. I think I'm like almost 20 years older than you, right? So for me, like picking up the vibe that you're throwing down, and having that care, and really choosing who you want to work with, and people who really want to do something besides just make bank,
right?
Is actually it's a serious choice.
Yeah,
it's a serious choice, and you choose to work with people who are not only like-minded but also like-hearted.
Yeah. So. And that's a big one. And I will tell you guys watching as well that it can be a struggle sometimes, because you have to make those hard decisions of who to work with, but at the same time, the right people, you attract the right people when you put that energy out there, and you get these messages because you start getting real in tune. So you get these messages like, "Okay, it's okay, Ed, chill, you'll be fine." Mm-hmm. And then the next thing you know, it's like, bam, there's somebody who wants to work with you, or there's somebody doing this project that you would be a great connection with, and it's just one of those things that it's amazing how it works.
Yeah. I know that, one of the things that I heard when I was a little kid, right? I mean, I guess you hear this as parables in the Bible, or you hear this in, Aesop's fables or all that. They talk about you get more than you give, right? Yeah. Give and ye shall receive, right? And so you think about that as a little kid, you just think, oh man, that's a great notion. But that's a great notion. What is this? You mean I give and I get more?
Right.
Well, that's kind of cool. How does that all work? And then you get a little bit older. Sometimes when you get a little bit older, or even maybe when you're younger, and you think, nah, I gotta grab this. I gotta get it, and it becomes much more competitive.
Yeah.
And not in an athletic sporting events. I mean, it becomes everything becomes competitive, and everything becomes really a zero-sum game.
Right.
And that's so the opposite of what I have found, both in the podcast, right? Starting with the podcast, and then looking outside of that into just life in general, and watching people and watching how they move, and then also with people who are authentically living that. Right, whether you call it living the gospel or living from abundance, or moving from an abundance mindset, it doesn't seem like they don't have much want. It really fits.
Yeah, it's so true. And how did you get started with the podcast? Because I know we have a lot of podcasters, or soon to be. Everyone's trying to figure out, should I do the live thing? Should I do the podcasting thing? So how did you kind of get started with the podcast?
So it kind of interestingly enough, I was not going to do the Giving Back podcast originally. I was going to do a podcast about building your platform, which is really, it has I don't even know if there is one like that yet. Yeah. It's like it has amazing commercial appeal, right? Because everybody wants to know how to build their tribe of 1,000 hardcores, right? And that's how you build your platform. So it was really actually pretty straightforward. It was going to be interesting. And then I was afflicted by something called not Guillain-Barré, Bell's palsy. Excuse me, Bell's palsy, which is basically half of my face looked like it was melting off of my face, and it's temporary, luckily. But I couldn't do it. I was just about to go, and I couldn't because I couldn't really speak very well.
Sure,
right? I was talking like this, right? I can't. It's really hard. So I stopped and I rethought. I don't know why. I just rethought it, and I thought, man, it's going to be a lot of work. I would really like to spend more time with these hometown heroes that I've been reading about, and sometimes I reach out and connect with. And I said, why not? Let's give it a shot. Sure. And I don't know why. It just turned out, and I'm like 200 shows in or something like that, and it's been awesome. And you know what? I have to tell you, for everybody who's worried about technology, don't worry about it. Anybody who's worried about launching and looking like an ass, you're going to look like an ass to somebody. So just don't worry about it and do it. And if you're worried about getting people on your show, you know what? If it's what you really want to do, except for, if you want to interview the biggest celebrities, that you're going to have a hard time unless you're connected. But don't worry about that. It's really following what is super interesting, genuinely interesting to you. And whatever that is, once you go down that rabbit hole, man, you're gonna find riches, beyond belief, right?
Yeah, no, and I love that, and I'm glad that you bring that up, because it's amazing to hear that from other people like yourself, and saying, you just do it, and that you had a pivot too, because you thought you were going to do this one show, which my eyebrows already perked up when I heard that. I was like, oh. Yeah, I like that.
Right, you like it, huh?
Yeah. And then it switched over to this other one that you were like, well, we'll just see what happens. And like Vicky says, wow, 200 shows. Yeah, that's what happens with business, you guys. Even if you're watching the replay, we don't know what's going to work out necessarily. We only know what we feel and what we test, and what that research shows us, and what people tell us. So we have to remember that we have to just go with that and see what is the market telling us. What are we supposed to do with that information once we put it out there?
Yeah, you're 100% right about that. 100% right. And you can speculate, and you can you can take swags at it, and you can all this stuff. But when it comes down to it, rubber hits the road when you put it out there for public consumption, no matter what it is. And it doesn't matter whether it's free or it costs $100,000 a week. It don't matter. You just got to throw it out there and see what happens.
Yeah, and that's what we were just talking about prior, and I've been talking to a few people about it, websites. Like that's their biggest thing is, a lot of people know they need a website. They might have already started a website, but it's not live. And it's like, well, what are you waiting for? It's 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, like you're still waiting. Like how is anybody supposed to find you or know about you? I mean, all you need is your contact info on there to get started.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Actually, that's really interesting. If you think about it, if you put up one page and it said, this is fill in the name, I'm about this, and it's awesome because, right? Or I'm whoever it is, this is what I do, this is how I do it,
right?
And this is coming up, and just put in your email if you want to find out more because we're coming, and I'd love to have you join the party. I mean, if you literally just put that out there, right, that is like the first step. And you could literally do that. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could put it on like, I don't know, Weebly or Wix or something like that and literally pay nothing for it just because it's like it is still a step. It's getting out there in public, which is hard. Yeah. It's hard to take that first step, But even if you just did that, say who you are, say what you do, say how you do it, and invite people in.
Yeah, that's the key. Invite people in. That's a big one, you guys. That's why we're talking about going live a lot. That's why we're talking about going and hanging out in the comments, not just on this show, but anywhere. Mm-hmm. Invite people in. And that's how you do it, by simply saying hello, simply asking a follow-up question, going in and responding like, yes, that was a great post. If you can go a little bit further, then you're going to get more attention because everyone might be saying great post, but if you can give some detail showing that you actually read it or what your feedback or perspective would be, I mean, that just takes it to a whole nother level. Yeah.
Yeah. Ed, when it's interesting when you talk about posts, I was reading, I'm in a group that does they just do some fabulous work. They're really purpose-driven entrepreneurs. And some of them, they're at various degrees. Some of them are starting. Some of them have been around for a while and they're just they're like on the big stage.
Nice.
And what I noticed very recently is a woman put up a post and it was something like just who would you like to meet? Right? Who would you like to meet? And it got so many people saying, oh, I'd like to meet Oprah, I'd like to meet Bob Proctor, and there was just lots and lots of names, some of which I'd heard, sure, which everybody knows, some of whom I'd never heard of before. But when she, curating it, started flipping it and saying, okay, so who can help whatever, Jim with meeting Bob, or, and stuff like that, all of a sudden it unleashed like not only energy around people saying, hey, I know somebody who knows somebody. Yeah. It also got other people to say, well, I mean, since they're brave enough to say who they'd like to work with, and say it out loud, right? There's a difference between saying who I want to work with dearly, right, and saying it out loud who I'd like to work with. All of a sudden, other people picked up and they got that courage to say who they wanted to work with, and it just really exploded. And it was definitely one of the most, it has the most comments. Not only does it have the most comments, Ed, it created the most off Facebook conversations. Like people were like starting to tag each other and do exactly what you were saying. They started tagging each other. They said, hey, PM me. And they were having conversations because there was this great energy and people were staying engaged, staying involved. And then they took the next step, which is actually, to actually connect either, face-to-face, long distance, or on the phone. Right. And all of a sudden there was more energy, and it just became this really great cycle. And people were like stepping up and saying, I can help you with this. And it's awesome. So absolutely, you're right. Stay in there, stay connected, and really read through the whole post and think about, hey man, how can I serve? Yes. Right? That's something that you and I talked about, and we ended up. Remember, I think you gave me. What did you say, Rob? I give you 20 minutes or whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, you didn't say that, but it was right. Like, you get a 20-minute block. I'm like, okay, man, I'll make it good. And we ended up talking up for an hour because one of the biggest things that we have is serve. Right? It's that whole idea of like first serve. Yep. And if you do that, I think that's why a lot of the people who come from really an abundance mindset do well, because they have it in them to always be thinking about serving first and trusting, believing, knowing, whatever you want to call it, that they will get plenty in return. And it may not be from that person that they're serving in the moment,
Right.
but just that it will come.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, you make these hard decisions, but you yourself have found, oh, look, but the right person came along who's really a great fit.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I stayed true to my values and what you're about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's so true, you guys. And trust me, I know personally it's a hard decision sometimes. And it will be very challenging at times because, you hit those highs, you hit those lows. So it's not easy. I mean, entrepreneurship's not easy. But when you start thinking about that, when you start serving that first, that's why I tell you guys all the time, don't be about the sale today, be about the relationship over time. Because that's what really will keep you growing, moving in the right direction. That's what's going to get you to a sustainable business model. That's just how it works. You just have to do that because sure, you can make money today and have those sales, but they might just be those one-off sales and then you may never see that again. And then it's like, then what? And then you have to keep hustling to try to get that each day. Mm-hmm. And it's, I don't know, it's not my kind of work and it's not my kind of look. So, you got to go with what works for you. But when you really be about the relationships and building them both online and offline, that's when you start seeing your full return.
Yeah, that relational aspect, one of the tried and true points about business in terms of sales is that it costs you 5 times as much to get a new client, okay, or a new customer. So if you flip the equation from transactional to relational, then you have that opportunity to spend 1/5 of the cost on somebody who already, they already know you, they like you, they listen to you, they trust you, they do business with you, right? And that's really the key. And that relationship is important because, we always talk about referrals, right? We always want referrals, and it's like a thing. Well, it's not a thing. It's actually a give and take, and it's an energy, and it's an exchange, right? It's really more of an exchange. So if you think about that, putting all your energy into that transaction, it yields you a sale. Putting energy into the relationship on an ongoing basis and having that, in your pocket, so to speak, but in a very natural way, right. That's where the gold is. And because it can be very natural, and you can just ask different things, and you can ask for the referral and for whatever you might be doing, and including it might be work that fits within his or her scope. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, it definitely. And with working with your mostly you have the podcast interviews going on, is that correct?
Yeah, for the podcast. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And so what have you found among those conversations? What kind of experiences have you had with those conversations?
So when you say my experiences, do you mean like what am I learning, or how do I grow, or what do you mean?
Yeah, basically both of those, because like what are you learning from people that maybe you're hearing over and over from different people? Because I know when I have a limited series podcast that was called Yes to Entrepreneurship, and from there I would interview entrepreneurs. It was just just like this, but everyone watching / listening were eavesdropping in on the conversation. So I made it like we were at a coffee shop, and I would hear the same thing over and over. Entrepreneurs, they feel like they're by themselves, that they get depressed, and that they don't realize that others are struggling the same way, and it feels very lonely. And so by talking to them, that was kind of, one of the big common themes. And it's just, it blew me away, because when you listen to the episodes and stuff, you hear that and you're like, oh yeah, that's me, I'm going through that, or, what to expect when you start getting into entrepreneurship. So that kind of an example is what I've felt when I was doing my podcasting.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. One is this almost overwhelming sense of optimism and hope. That's one thing. I mean, these guys and gals are, I consider them to be absolutely some of the finest expressions of human kindness that you will ever meet.
That's so cool.
And I was actually on a plane with a couple on the way to San Diego, and we were just talking about the podcast, and the husband asked me about who I'd like to interview, and we were talking about like some pretty really well-known people, and I said, yeah, it'd be okay, and he was surprised because he actually knew I was serious, and I said, it'd be okay. I said, well, the thing is that for Bill Gates, he's done an awesome job with Microsoft. I mean, clearly, right?
Sure.
And he's made a lot of money.
Yeah.
He made a lot of money, and that's great. I said, but I have the feeling that he is going to want to be known for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and for their work.
Yeah.
And that's where his heart is. And so for me, what I would want to know is what he's learned from Microsoft that he brings over into the foundation.
Yes.
Because that is more important than anything else in my world. Because really, I mean, okay.
I love that.
When I talked about tombstones, right? And why that's important about, somebody who makes it easy for people to do good. The idea is this. Do you want to be known for making an extra, $100,000? Do you want to be known for, churning more, derivatives on the financial market? Do you want to be known for attending the most meetings? Is that really what any of us? Because at least I know I don't.
I don't either.
So what it comes down to is the stuff that whatever it is that you would want written on your tombstone, that's what you want to be working on right now in the present tense. Yes. And those are the things that are important. And that's why these people that I get to meet they're fantastic. They are doing that work now. Yeah. They are making a difference now in people's lives. The fact that it gets compensated at a much different rate is, I can't talk to the values of society and all. That's way too heavy for me. You'd have to get somebody else. But what I know is that they are really awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't sweat an athlete or a celebrity or a entertainer. They're doing what they do. That's cool. These people are literally saving lives.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it too. The part that you mentioned about, taking what he learned there and how's he applying it to the foundation, right there, that blows my mind. And even Paula was saying, yes, that's good. And it's that also makes you stand out. That makes you stand out from the crowd, because everyone else is trying to do the same thing with trying to figure out, the Microsoft thing or whatever. But it's no, you're tuning into his passion and what he really wants to talk about, and giving him now a voice to really be let's bring those two worlds together and see how they connect.
Right. So that, one of the things, there are some themes that I learn along the way, and one of the most powerful from the nonprofits is meeting people where they're at. Yeah. Right. And so when you think about being there where the people that you serve and really doing your best to understand where they're at, how you can meet them, and you don't have to be, illiterate or a homeless or, chronically hungry or a victim of domestic violence. What you can do is be there, be right where they're at as much as you can, and listen to them and not assume that you have the answer. Assume that, go from the point of what do they need? What are they asking for? And so a lot of, in this case with the nonprofits, what I found is that they also turn that on its head and work with their volunteers and their staff and their donors and their sponsors. And they do the same thing. They meet sponsors where they're at. They say, what is it that you want? Right? If you are going to be a sponsor for a table at our gala, what is it that you want, or our event? Do you want people to try this out? Do you want to just be brand awareness? Do you want to be associated with us from this level? And then with their people resources, they think about people and think what are the things that they love to do? What are the things that they're good at? And how can they apply that to this mission or this cause that they have aligned themselves with us, right? So like a common example that I use is a doctor who wanted to be a rock and roll star when he was younger, who still has great chops, and guess what? When he is asked to perform at an event, he doesn't just attract the people from that organization for whatever, saving dogs, saving seals, saving the environment. He goes out and asks other people that he knows and draws them in. Yep. And that's how you will really connect with your next generation of donors, by connecting deeper with your current generation of donors, Yes. I mean, you're a great case in point. I'm just going to bring it up. The human race, they need every organization needs things. And you've got some special talents. You've got special talents in technology, specifically also in website design. You've got special skills in social media, right? Copywriting. You've got a lot of skills. And so if you give them a check for $1,000 or $10,000 or $100, whatever the amount is, they still need that. And they may or may not spend it on those things that they need. Where you, by donating that instead, you're making a huge difference, much bigger than that check for $100 or $1,000 would do. Right. So it's really important that nonprofits meet people, the people who love them, right, and the people who are aligning themselves with the organization to represent them in this, this like desire to be a part of something bigger than themselves, that they look inward and say, what are opportunities that we have to shine the spotlight on our volunteers, on our donors, on our staff, right? And it's kind of exciting because, this is exactly the approach that Rick Warren used to build Saddleback Church into 50,000, a congregation of 50,000. Wow. He was doing exactly the same thing. And it doesn't have to be a church. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a world cause. It can be a sports team, a PTA. It doesn't even matter, Yep. So it's that's one of the lessons, many lessons I've learned. And, the other thing about businesses, I've had a lot of business owners on the show. Yeah. And and they're people too. Oh yeah. And they're doing some really radically awesome stuff for different causes in their community. I mean, they are really, really strong hometown heroes. And the way they do it, I mean, you oftentimes think, well, they got a business, so they're going to write a check. They're doing it. They're doing it in such a much more connected and engaged way. I mean, I know like Rob. I forget his last name, Rob and the boys at Piano Fight in San Francisco. Okay. There is this amazing organization called Code Tenderloin. And the Tenderloin, for folks who don't know, in San Francisco is a pretty rough area. It's a pretty rough area. A lot of homelessness, it's just pretty rough. Yeah. And there is a gentleman named Del Seymour who runs Code Tenderloin, which does workplace training for the homeless. Nice. It's very cool. They've got great results. They've got some great sponsors. The thing is that for all of the other sponsors, which is awesome, if it wasn't for Rob and the boys at Piano Fight, who literally heard about it, got to know Del, said, oh, we're part of this community, and one day just said, hey, man, here's the keys to our entire place. You can have it from 8 in the morning until I think it's 3 o'clock. Wow. Okay, San Francisco real estate, even in the Tenderloin, is not cheap. Right. And he really needed a big space. Without these business owners stepping up and becoming community freaking stewards. Yeah. Real community I mean, they're real community heroes. It wouldn't have happened. And the thing is, they don't even talk about it, man. It's just so much a part of their vibe, and they're just like, oh, it's no big deal. I'm like, they really don't think of it as a big deal.
Right.
They never looked for the spotlight. I mean, I came looking for them. They didn't even want to come on and talk about it because no, just, but there are lots and lots of businesses that are doing that.
Yeah.
And there are so many opportunities to do that in a really meaningful way,
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. And I have Erica. She's actually one of our viewers. She's actually in San Francisco. And so she's like, yes, she's heard of that, I'm sure. And it's one of those things like, yeah, you really have to. That's why we talk about this a lot, but the other day I kind of really went off a little bit with the don't worry about your numbers in terms of the number of followers, the number of live viewers, the number of people on your email list. Like all that stuff obviously is great to have and it's good to look at, but not to worry about having a high number, because I'll tell you, a lot of the times on group promo days in Facebook land, people will say, oh, I want to get, I'm almost at 400 followers, or I need to get 400 followers. And I cringe inside because it's like, but what does that mean? That doesn't mean, that's just, you're trying to get to a status level saying that you have 400 people, but what does that translate to if you don't have a connection with them? If they don't have a connection with you or your products or your services? So for me, it's always like, don't worry about those numbers. Worry about the people that are actually tuning into you and are right there on your list and that are engaging in the comments. Worry about them and getting to know them and understanding them. And like you said, diving deeper and really, how can you shine the spotlight there? And what else can you learn from each other to then grow? And then that grows your network organically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember talking to somebody about fundraisers, and I said, it's interesting because a lot of, and this is normal because it's been the approach for many, many years. They're like, oh yeah, I need to raise this amount of money. And I said, well, from what I've seen, if you start with the raising awareness part first and just know that people are good, and people, when they know about something, they will be interested and they will care and they'll want to learn more. And then you raise engagement, right, with those people who you're connected with. It makes your fundraising so much easier because if you follow that path, you'll get more people in and they're doing the things that you need to buy.
Yeah.
And so your fundraising in terms of funds becomes smaller in terms of your actual need because you have people who are dedicated filling those roles. And then, the last part is then you can get rid of the D for dollars and just think about it in terms of fun and then invite people in and then it gets crazy. Then you start raising a lot more money than you would have thought and you have a lot more fun and you create this organic buzz because people truly, they felt focused on. You said it, you hit it on the head, Ed. When the people who are interacting with you, the people who, those are the people you should care about. I mean, never worry about anything. Actually, that's my motto. Just, have fun and notice the people who are having fun with you. Notice the people who are engaging with you and say, hey, I noticed you were on here. Can you tell me a little bit more? Like you just said, Paula who is in San Francisco.
Or Erica. Yeah.
Oh, Erica. So, I would say to Erica, Erica, here's my digits. It's 925-255-3773. Send me a text. We'll get on the phone with Ed. You probably already know her, but, let's just see what else you got to think about. We know what's upstairs. What do you think about? Why do you tune into Ed? Why is this important to you? And let's have a fun dialogue about that and see what else we can do for that Erica and for all the other Ericas out there. You know what I mean?
Yep. Exactly. I know Erica's probably like, yes, because we were going to try actually to meet up in person recently, but then we had that terrible storm. That was when all kinds of craziness. So anyway, but yeah, that's how it works, you guys, is really just focusing in on who's paying attention to you now. How can you establish that relationship and or strengthen that relationship and continue to have fun? Because that's the thing I am seeing a lot. because I'm in now this fundraising world, and seeing how people are making a ton, getting a ton of donations because they're having fun. They're having challenges. They're having weekly challenges. Some may be having daily challenges. And they're competing with each other and having this fun environment within their office settings and things like that. And so it's just really neat to see that. And when you see that, you get excited. And that's why, we tell people to share on social media, because it's one thing to be excited in the moment with those people that are right there with you, but think about how much more excitement can happen when you share that live or just with a video clip on social media. I mean, it just takes off from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it creates this buzz and this excitement where you get more people in the next time. And it doesn't matter whether it's, like you said, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. Because they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed that. I can't wait for the next one, right? I mean, that's really going to be, I mean, it's, and it's really going really towards human nature, like everybody, what it doesn't matter what the party is, Ed. I mean, my thing is, I'm not saying that I necessarily want to go, but I darn sure want an invitation.
Yeah.
It's just, and it sounds a little egotistical, or I don't know I don't know if it does sound, but it's, I look at it that way because all of us want to be invited. And even if we can't go, we still want to be invited. And why not? Because we, want to go out and we're going to have fun. We want to hang out, we want to just, circulate, percolate, and, let things flow. That's really that's really what we're all about. We're social animals, right?
Yep. Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Erica says, man, it sounds like I really missed some good stuff at the beginning. You need to watch the replay. Yes, Erica, you do. But we're also going to have in the group, Rob is actually going to stay. We'll call him back. So FYI, so we're going to wrap up here in a second, everyone. But after the show, for those who are in the Hey Ed community, we'll be switching over there to have a quick after show, just to kind of, go a little deeper and just have some after show footage. So if you're in that community, we'll see you there. But Rob, anything else that you want to kind of end with here in this environment before we let you go?
What I know for sure is this. I mean, you can take this from dozens and dozens and dozens of guests from all stripes, serving all types of communities, business owners, individuals, activists, nonprofits, big ones and little ones. And by the way, I mean, when I say big ones, I mean like Movember, conservation. They're all size. And this is the thing, is that when you see something that outrages you, or you see something that gives you joy, okay?
Yeah.
Take a step in that direction, and you can start small, because it's not about random acts of kindness. It's about intentional acts of kindness. And that's when you get the whole feeling good, serotonins, endorphins, everything flowing. And that's where all the magic starts. And you never know what the ripple effects are going to be. You just start there. Start there wherever it picks up your passion, and just do something purposefully for somebody who may need. And the magic will happen. Promise.
Yes, exactly. And that's the beauty of all this, you guys. And that's why it's so important for you to not only show up and deliver, but engage. Even if you're watching the replay, like that's the biggest thing that I can tell you. Carmen had a great question. She asked how she can get into the Hey Ed community. So for those who are new, I just posted the link in the comments. So you can take a look. When you click on that link, you can click Hey Ed, and it will give you more information. I also put Rob's link to his Giving Back podcast in the comments, so you guys can find that there. And if you need anything else, let us know in the comments. Rob, I thank you so much. I'm going to let you go for a few minutes, and then I'll give you a call back when we transition over to the group.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here on the show. I appreciate it.
Total pleasure, man. Total. This is great. I look forward to the next time and seeing you in person, Ed. Yes. Totally awesome.
Awesome. Cool. I'll give you a call in just a few minutes.
All right. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. So you guys, that's what I'm talking about. Like that's the cool part about the show, and being able to just do something different, and just to be able to go out there and try something new. And some of you might be new to me and you might be thinking, oh my gosh, like this guy, I'm not going to be, okay, I'm just going to pretend like I'm you, okay, for a second. You might be saying, oh, this guy's really good. Like, he must be a pro at this. And no, this didn't just happen overnight. I've been doing this officially, this show, since the beginning of the year. And I've done other things prior to this to get to this point. You know, like I mentioned, I started the Yes to Entrepreneurship podcast, and that was my starting point to get familiar with a show format and booking and all of that. And then from there, I decided I needed to pivot. I knew that I needed to be in front of a camera. I didn't want to be, but I knew I needed to be. I needed to get comfortable with being in front of the camera. I had to become comfortable with myself, being open to you guys, to be publicly out there. And it's not easy, but you continue to work at it and you keep trying different things and you keep thinking forward. Like, how can I serve? What can I do to make this better? And I knew that like the audio for podcasting is great, and I kind of want to get back into that, but I knew that I needed to be live and to be able to put this energy out there, because I don't think you would get the same energy from me through the audio that you can see me visually. Plus, sometimes I have some great dance moves, and you don't want to miss out on that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you just really want to make sure that you just start. You figure out what it is that you like to talk about, what people are always coming to you for, and then you just start. You just talk. You just do it. Having this show has been awesome, and it's been a blessing to be able to do it 5 days a week, every day for an hour, practically. It's been great, and that you guys actually show up, you comment, you share, like, it blows my mind, especially when you have all this stuff going on with Facebook, which we can't control, you know? So it's really awesome to have you guys here, and to, even if you're only here for like 30 seconds, 30 minutes, the whole hour, it doesn't matter. The part that matters is that you guys actually have given me a shot, have invested in me, just with your time. I'm not even talking about products or services. I'm talking about your time. Because that's the most precious thing. That's the most valuable thing. So the fact that you guys invest a little bit of your time, some of you a lot, which is awesome, but just a little bit of your time, like, that just blows me away. And the fact that I know you're going to walk away knowing something new and being able to try something and being motivated and inspired to try something, like, you guys can see right here, it's authentic, like that. Every time it blows me away. And you know, a lot of you guys will see on my personal profile too, there's been some awesome comments from you regarding the new community and regarding what I do, and it's just like, it doesn't get old. And I love that. And that's when you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's when you know that you have to keep doing it and keep moving forward, and think about how you can make those pivots and make things work. Because everything's always going to change. Vicky says, yeah, with the dance moves. Boop. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. It's Friday night. I know Vicky's in the UK, so it's like way late, but it's Friday night, so she stayed up to hang out with us at party. So have a fantastic weekend, you guys. I will see you back here on Monday, same time, same place. Turn on the like and the follow and the see first and the notifications if you want to keep updated. You got my link. It one click and it will show you everything you need to know. So I will talk to you guys later, and see some of you guys over in the group. All right, take care, guys. Have a great night.